Okay, so we are on Explore Explain. We did all the different dimensions of the box and rounded it to decimal places. We want the highest number on this volume to surface area ratio, which it looks like the highest, there are two highest numbers. So the highest numbers that we're really looking at, none of these, it would be these last two. So 26 by 18 by 7.3 and 25.5 by 18 by 7.4. So what we have to do is see, did they meet all the dimensions? So what are the rules? The volume has to be between 3400 and 3425. Let's look at our volume. 3400 and 3425. So yeah, 3400, 3425. This is not 3400 though. So it already takes us out of the running. So that means that the only answer for best possible is this, because it meets all the criteria. So we're going to use that when we type this up. Identify the box that meets the criteria and explain your reasoning. The best box to use will be 26 by 18 by 7.3. All right, I'm scrolling up to make sure. 26 by 18 by 7.3. Okay. Because it meets all the criteria and constraints with the highest volume to surface area ratio. It was at 2.16. All the others had either a lower number than that, or they didn't meet the criteria of the volume being between 3400 and, let me look up here, 3400 and 3425. 3425. Okay. Evidence notebook, identifying characteristics of the best solution. So you have one design might not perform the best, so you have to identify the different parts to get the best solution. So you can combine different ideas, correct, and make it even better. So you're going to make this raincoat design that everyone will want. The criteria is it has to be light, it has to be easy to use, it has to be water resistant, it has to be fashionable, and it has to have pockets. So they're talking about the three raincoats that they used, and there's like some trade-offs, right? So snaps make it hard to use, but it's really lightweight. These two, they're easy to use, but they're pretty heavy. Okay. So lightweight, easy to use, and having high water resistance. These are heavier to use, but which one has the best water resistance? It looks like Raincoat C has very good water resistance. So if we have to imagine that we are in charge of furthering this design and what our next steps would be, now that there are three designs, the next step is to model and test the designs. By testing the designs, we can get even, or let's say the researchers. The researchers can get even better, more information on which of the three raincoats would be the best design, because it was testing the three most important pieces of whether it was lightweight, whether it was easy to use, and if it was water resistant. So now you have to actually test that to make sure that that design. So what they're saying here, this is kind of the design specifications. We have to test that this really is true about the water exposure, and test with multiple people to make sure the designs really are easy or difficult to use. So now we're going to go into exploration 2. how do you take that data and make a solution. Some engineering problems have a system. And now it's talking about engineers who optimize those systems are called industrial engineers. So we're going to kind of be an industrial engineer trying to go way back when Henry Ford was designing cars on an assembly line. Okay, so they had rows of employees, each was doing one task repeatedly over and over again. Okay, how has optimization of processes similar to the optimization of engineered products? So the processes are similar because the engineers tested the process over time to find the best way to make the product. The product also gets tested a lot over time to make sure it is the best product. The assembly line was the process to make the best product, and then testing the car was important to make sure it was the best product. Okay, so they basically repeatedly tried to figure out how to make a car in the best way and found that they should do like an assembly line where one person has one job over and over again. And then multiple people are putting together that car, and that helps to speed up the process, but also was still getting a really good car product. And so that was also as important as when they actually test the car and make sure that it works as well as it can work. So now they're talking about prototypes. So creating this like one idea and building a model, make sure that it works. So now they're talking about bicycle sprockets, which if you have a bike, they're talking about this area right here. It's made of aluminum and zinc, so it could be light, but also strong. This is kind of the systematic part of it. We saw this before about how you optimize a design solution. They've already gone through all of this part right here. They're at the brainstorming, evaluating, and now you're developing and testing the model and testing the solution. So what are some characteristics of a design process? So as we go through the design process, do each of them have features that worked in a previous test? Yes. Do these features of different solutions, could they be combined? Of course. If it works, you're going to combine the two different features, right? And you always use what works. Solutions are tested during every different part? Yes. Every single time you're going to have a completely new idea or solution? No, you might just be adapting something that you already used. Okay, so now that you've completed the different testing procedures and repeated them, they're going to show that a space pen was one of the very first designs where they had a problem because pens were not working in gravity. The ink was not going down and using the gravity, so they had to create a space pen. Okay, which is so interesting. They had to pressurize the ink to kind of make gravity since there's no gravity in space. Here's the pen. So sometimes the solution for one problem leads to new solutions of other problems. So kind of how did this example of creating a space pen, how did that get redefined and how did that help with other problems? So what we have to think about is how the pen didn't work if it was held upside down. And that was often true at that one time on Earth as well. Some people, if you take a ballpoint pen or something and you try to write just kind of on the side of a wall, the ink will run out because the gravity is what you need. So the solution of the space pen helped pen creators to realize that using and relying on gravity didn't always make the pen work. In the end, they changed the design from depending on gravity to having a gel so that it is pressurized to work correctly every single time. Okay, so they realized that a ballpoint pen doesn't work upside down on Earth and it doesn't work at all in space. So they want to make a pen that's going to work upside down. This made a pen that could work upside down on Earth and solve the problem of needing a space pen. Right? So it basically solved one problem, but it also solved a completely different problem that it wasn't even trying to solve, which happens often. There's many different examples of materials like Play-Doh was something that was supposed to be a completely different solution, but they what it actually created, they realized, oh, this is also something great for kids to play with. I'm scrolling through the hands-on lab because we're not in class, so we can't do the in-class lab, but we can combine the best parts of solutions. So they're just talking about after a product's introduced, they keep trying to make it better and better and better and putting all the cell phones together. This is the phone I used in high school, and then it's moved on into the phone that you are going to use in high school, and that there were trade-offs for that. So if you can improve certain functions, then something else could be worse. And I definitely know that for me, this phone would never ever break. And my iPhone breaks all the time. The screen shatters a lot. So the trade-off that we all decided to make was that we wanted a bigger screen that could connect to the internet and we could see on a larger idea, but the trade-off is that it's going to break easier. So now we have to identify trade-off. So it has to give the good and the bad in order to for us to use it. New cell phone screens allow new functions. That's only a positive. There's no negative, so I can't choose that. Adding more applications will shorten the battery. So that's the good part is you get applications. The bad part is you have worse battery. So it identified both, so I could choose it. Big screens will shatter easier. That was my trade-off that I mentioned as an example. Antennas, you can go further, but there's less signal. Yep, good and bad. Touch screens increase your viewing area, but it's harder to use than a button. Agreed. And your grandma would agree too. So, and then F, thinner cases decrease the weight and make it easier to handle. So see how there's like no negative there, so we wouldn't choose it because a trade-off has, you're trading a positive and a negative. Let's check. Yep, two different pieces. How might starting the engineering process with only one idea affect the ability to optimize it? So if you only have one idea, then you are not allowing for more solutions and better solutions. It makes it so that there is only one solution. If there is only one solution, it might not make the product as amazing as it could be because the vision for what the product will be like is too small. Right? Your vision is too small, so you can't do any of the fun, exciting pieces because you're not leaving it open to make it consistently better. So it's really important that when engineers are designing something and making this new product, they're really realizing that it can help more than just one specific person. Like cell phones, they're not how will this work for kids or how will this work for adults. They're thinking about how will this work for everyone. So for taking it further, we're going to start a new video.